Hey guys, so for today on the good, the bad, and the ugly, I decided to do it on the 2016 Aventador SV. This one is obviously the coupe. They originally were going to make only 600 of these, but they ended up making 600 coupes and 600 roadsters. This is the LMP 750-4. If you guys don't know that already, that means 750 horsepower and four-wheel drive, or all-wheel drive. Okay, so let's take a look at the engine now. 6.5 liter V12, pumping out 750 horsepower and 509 pound-foot of torque, which rockets the car from 0 to 60 in 2.8 seconds and onto a top speed of 217 miles an hour. So as we look at the rear end of the car, you can see a lot of new changes to the SV compared to the standard Aventador, such as all this carbon, this new accent, obviously the rear diffusers, and this wing. Now the cool thing with this wing is you can manually adjust it right here and here, and it gives you the different choices. Let's see if you can see that. There we go. Get different choices on how aggressive you want to get your wing going. Something else that they did away with the rear on the SV compared to the standard is the standard has the exhaust coming out of one big exhaust at the end. It's not all together, but it looks like it. It's kind of a facade, where this, they just decided to go all four of them and kind of show you. As far as the side goes, the main difference is it's obviously the big SV, but get new rims and fixed air intakes right here and here. And then as we make our way to the front, there's also a handful of new features compared to the standard Aventador, obviously, with the whole front end looking quite differently. And I have to say, I think Lamborghini did a great job with this car. It was kind of a difficult car to figure out how to spec, I must say. I wanted to keep those red center locks, but I also wanted that red SV logo on it. And there's not too many color choices that you could do that with. And then let's think. I don't like the black per se, just because black, in my opinion, you lose too much carbon fiber in black cars. And blue just doesn't look good on Lamborghini. Green looks like Christmas. Orange, they clash too much. So it was kind of difficult. Luckily, Lamborghini had this satin white to do it with. So I think it turned out quite well. Let me know what you guys think of the spec, what you would have ordered yours in. Now here's the tag distinguishing it to being a limited edition car. Interesting enough, unlike Porsche, they didn't number these cars. They only said 1 of 600. So, to be honest, I don't know if this is number 1 or number 600 or number 355. I mean, who knows? So obviously it's got Lamborghini scissor doors. I mean, that's a given, being that it's a V12. As we look at the inside, these are, they came in 2 forms, the seats. You could get the more GT Grand Touring comfortable seats, or you could get these, the Corsa, the racing seats. So here's your instrument cluster. Start it up for you guys right here. Got to talk kind of loud in here now. So there's several different choices. You have Strada, which is obviously street, Sport, and then Corsa. Sport and Corsa open up the exhaust that much more, and you really get a nice exhaust note, I'm gonna have to say. So your standard things. These are your windows. This is to raise the front end, that way you don't scrape it. Obviously, reverse, parking brake, and to put the car in manual. Then your gauge cluster. You have your fuel and your temperature gauge, your revs, RPM gauge, miles till empty, and then your miles per hour. Anyway, let's take it out for a spin and I can tell you a little more about it.
So like I said in the beginning, it's a mid-engine V12, obviously, but that V12 is kicking out 750 horsepower and 509 pound-foot of torque. What that equals out to with an all-wheel drive system is a 0 to 60 time of 2.8 seconds and onto a top speed of 217 miles an hour. Now, Lamborghini also claimed that this is one of the very few cars to do the Nürburgring under 7 minutes. 6 minutes and 59 seconds to be exact. Now, a lot of the reason they were able to get those performance numbers is obviously more horsepower, but they lost weight. Added more carbon fiber. As you can see, the interior is just loaded with it. The exterior, they've got the fixed wings and the fixed air intakes, which also reduce weight. And in total, Lamborghini claimed that it lost 110 pounds, which is quite a lot, and considering that this was already a pretty heavy car. Road and Track claimed that they had tested a standard Aventador, and it weighed in, I believe, at 4,065 pounds, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong. So the car is still very close to 2 tons, but it is lighter. So, on to the good. As you saw in the beginning of the video, the outside, they crush it with the styling. The car also feels very nimble. Part of that is due to it being obviously an all-wheel drive car. So it handles terrifically, especially for the weight. It does not feel like it's nearly 2,000 pounds. I'm sorry, 2 tons. And when you get on the car, it truly pins you in your seat. This is, depending on how you like your cars, could be either good or bad. Lamborghini's noted for being raw, being tough, being just kind of a brute. And that translates into a lot of things with the car. You can't hear it now, but when I let off my foot off the gas, it makes a little clicking noise. Now, this doesn't bother me one bit, but it's just kind of a raw thing. It's very racy. Also, the glass. In the bottom right corner, it's very wavy. I was curious, why is it wavy? Is that, a defect? And they had actually said that that's because it's a gravity-fed or a gravity-poured windshield. I might be saying that wrong, but regardless, the way that they pour their windshield is very old school. And it comes out like that. They actually said that some cars have it much worse and some have it a little better. But that kind of gives to the uniqueness and the hand-built quality of these cars. As far as the ride goes, it rides, fairly well. I mean, being that it is a true form of a supercar, and a supercar that's meant for the track at that as well. It redlines at about 8,500 RPM. It actually, we're able to bring it up from 8,350 RPM to the standard Aventador to now this, the SV. Something else to go along with how it was being a raw car, and at the beginning, I admit, I did not like this, but I've learned to really enjoy it, and it's a completely different driving characteristic compared to any other car. Tiptronic paddle shift F1 cars and shifting like that. And this still shifts much, much faster than a manual gearbox car will. But that being said, it is a little luggish at times, especially on the lower RPMs in first and second gear. You're kind of, you know, and it throws you back and forth. But when you're on it, you cannot tell. But you see there how it kind of just logged off a little bit. So for the bad, there's really not a whole lot bad with the car. The visibility is tremendous in it, considering what it is. I was thinking this car you weren't going to be able to see squat out of it. And you can see a fair amount, actually. But bad is more or less on this car how you like your cars, like I said. At the beginning, a lot of these rough things with the car really annoyed me. But as I've learned to drive the car and learned to love it in many ways, that roughness is just a fun characteristic of it and a different driving experience than you get with most any other car. But with that being said, there is one bad thing with this car, and I'd have to say it's these Corsa seats. I've done the most in a single day is about 75 miles of driving, and at the end of the day, it's kind of hurting my back a little bit. Not that big of a deal. I bought these, I ordered these seats knowing that I wasn't going to be using this car as a grand touring style car. I'm not going to be putting several hundred miles on it at a time. But the seats are uncomfortable nevertheless. Now onto the ugly. I had ordered this car when it was a coupe only, and to my knowledge it was only going to be a coupe. And then Lamborghini decided to drop the bombshell and bring out a roadster. So it went from originally being 600 SVs to now 1200 SVs between the coupe and the roadster. It's not that big of a deal at the end of the day to me. I was still happy to even get one. And Newport Beach actually allowed me, if I wanted to change to a roadster configuration, but I'm a purist, and this was the car that, you know, set the lap time record, and this was the true hot rod, if you will, the true one that's going to be able to be a track car. Like I said, I'm not going to, you know, grand tour this car. I'm not going to race it, but I wanted it to be the most purest form. That's why I got the Corsa seats, and that's why it's a coupe. Something else that I think is kind of ugly is the fact that Lamborghini stole a couple of styling cues and parts off of this car and put on the new Aventador S. Now, I'm all for making the new cars that much better and upgrading them, but I don't like them taking off parts from the top car and adding them. Now, when I say that, I mean the rims, for instance, and the air intakes. Those are clearly styling pieces and, you know, performance pieces off of the Aventador SV. And I think that's something that should have stayed with only the SV, is giving it that much more of a special and exotic and really limited feel. But I don't mind them taking away, you know, steering wheels or adding horsepower to the same things of that nature. In fact, as you know, the 918 steering wheel is the same steering wheel in all of the new Porsches. And there's nothing wrong with that. In fact, I actually like it. I like the new steering wheel. And what's nice is they didn't steal it and just take the exact same steering wheel and throw it in the Aventador. I'm sorry, the 918. They had actually, you know, redone it a little bit and taken off some of the dials that were on the 918 steering wheel, which is perfect. It makes the steering wheel and the 918 still exotic, still fresh, and exclusive only to the 918. And unfortunately, I feel like them adding the air intakes and the rims off of this car and putting it onto the S kind of took away the exclusivity of the Aventador SV. Now, something else that is both really bad and I think really ugly, I can say with confidence with this car, is some of the technology features on it. It has Sirius XM radio. You can get an upgraded radio system, but I've heard it's not that great. And the standard radio, it's fine. It has sat nav. It's got a lot of the, you know, standard modern luxuries that we find in just about every car. But believe it or not, it has no Bluetooth radio. It has Bluetooth for your phone, but not for your radio, not for, you know, your media, which I find to be very weird. And That includes no aux cord. You can't plug your phone in. I have tried just about everything. If you guys know how to get it, leave a comment and let me know. But I cannot figure out for the life of me how to get my music off my phone and play it through the system. Granted, I'm not going to be, really listening to music all that much in this car. I haven't really. When I drive the car, I want to listen to the natural engine, natural music, if you will, and that is the exhaust note. It does obviously have carbon ceramic brakes. It's kind of needed in a car of this weight and this much power. So in conclusion, they're good. The styling's unreal on this car. It sounds amazing. The power is amazing. And to me, the driving experience is amazing, being that it's such a rough and nasty car. The bad, well, depending on how you take it, it is a very rough car. I like that about the car, but that is a negative to some people. Also, something that I would have to definitely classify as bad is the Corsa seats. If you're going to even drive the car, don't buy the Corsa seats. Buy something a little more comfortable. Buy the standard seats. And then the ugly. Well, the ugly is most definitely, to me, the fact that it doesn't have Bluetooth radio. Well, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. Drop a comment. Let me know what you think about the video. And I'd be curious to know what you guys would have ordered your Aventador SVs in. Until next time.